Presidential Task Force shall intensify consultations with the governors and other state agencies to achieve the much-needed collaboration.
Presidential Task Force rolls out more strategies for testing, treatment and containment of coronavirus disease.
It's not looking as easy as everybody thought it would be. The global economy, not naturally, like we all know at this time, will certainly suffer some very serious growth problems that may even lead to recession globally.
Presidential Committee on Economy briefs President Buhari on the impact of COVID-19 on the economy and effects of the various interventions rolled out by the government.
We're at a very critical and uncertain time in our economic history.
Economic Stability Committee sets to develop and implement strategies to alleviate the impact of COVID-19 on Nigeria.
If they increase this thing, even their old stock, they will also jack it up immediately and comply.
And correspondent bringing us up to speed on the petroleum pump price reduction. Hello, good evening. This is NTA Network News coming to you live in Abuja. I am Joseph Johnson and Hingano is in Lagos while Jenny Bassi is in Port Harcourt. Now let's begin by telling you that as at 8 o'clock this evening, 10 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 184. 7 of the new cases are in Lagos and 3 in the FCT. Breakdown now has 98 in Lagos, 38 in FCT, 14 in Osun, 8 in Oyo, 5 in Akwa Ibom, 4 each in Ogun, Edo and Kaduna states, 3 in Bauchi, 2 each in Enugu and Ekiti, and 1 each in Rivers and Benue states. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu earlier announced the release today of 11 more patients from the facility in Yaba, bringing the total number of discharged patients to 20. 2 deaths have been recorded so far. The discharged patients include 2 females and 9 males. Their results came out negative in 2 rounds of tests. As Nigeria sustains efforts towards containing the coronavirus pandemic, President Muhammadu Buhari insists that value be retained within the economy while the poor and the vulnerable remain protected. The president gave the order at a strategic engagement with the Presidential Committee assessing the impact of COVID-19 on the nation's economy. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
President Muhammadu Buhari and members of the committee, headed by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, analyzed the COVID-19 crisis on the economy, the various intervention measures introduced by government, as well as further steps to be taken in the best interest of Nigeria and Nigerians. Speaking to NTA News after the closed-door meeting, Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed said discussions also centered on the negative consequences of the lockdown on the economy, especially small businesses, and what needs to be done to mitigate such.
His directive is make sure salaries are paid, make sure critical infrastructure projects like roads, rails are protected. As much as possible, use local inputs so that we retain value within our economy, and also make sure that you have measures that protect the poor and the vulnerable.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, said President Buhari also engaged the committee members on the situation in the global oil market as a result of the coronavirus pandemic.
The economy is not in the best of shapes due to COVID-19. Oil prices are also collapsing every day. So we need to be on top of it and to brief Mr. President regularly.
What have you suggested to him?
I can't say that. The discussions are still ongoing, so we can't really say where we are now. You know, it's a developing situation. We live here now, oil prices will be different from where we left it when we were outside. So we can't really say exactly what we are discussing now, because it's something where we need to be updating regularly.
So what was his response?
Of course, he has given us his directives. I mean, he has looked at what we have told him, and he has also given us some direction on how to carry on.
It's not looking as easy as everybody thought it would be. The global economy, not naturally, like we all know at this time, will certainly suffer some very serious growth problems that may even lead to recession globally. So what we want to do is to see what can we do as a country to rescue our own situation so we don't go the direction many will go. It's not going to be easy, but we can only just assure our people that we're on top of it and that we'll resolve it, and Nigerians will still be better for it.
At the instance of the president, the Zainab Ahmed Committee continued its strategic engagement with the Presidential Committee on Economic Sustainability led by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And the Economic Sustainability Committee, headed by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, held its inaugural meeting this Thursday in Abuja. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
The Economic Sustainability Committee, recently constituted by President Muhammadu Buhari, is looking into how to develop and implement strategies to alleviate sufferings of Nigerians at this time. The committee is mandated to take care of the economic challenges.
Of course, its implications are very clear for the economy. It has led to a downturn in practically every sector of the economy. Oil revenues have fallen precipitously. Of course, also domestic revenues have also fallen. So we're at a very critical and uncertain time in our economic history, and even in our history as a nation.
This inaugural meeting is regarded as crucial, as major steps have to be taken, such as developing a sustainability plan on repositioning the economy, growing the non-oil sector, and turning the situation to opportunities. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Meanwhile, as part of a coordinated national response strategy to the COVID-19, state governments have been mandated to prepare a 300-bed facility to be used for isolation and treatment of COVID-19 patients should there be an upsurge of the pandemic in the country. Chairman of the Presidential Task Force and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, conveyed this presidential directive during today's briefing in Abuja. Mitari Ikben reports.
As COVID-19 cases begin to rise in the country, the Presidential Task Force is rolling out more strategies for testing, treatment and containment of the pandemic, including the need for more treatment and isolation centers at the state levels.
It is important that states, whether in the front line where cases have been reported or where cases have not been reported yet, to intensify the preparation of facilities that will help in the event of a surge. Either a hotel or other facilities that are available to them, a place where they can provide basic nursing and other required procedure. The Presidential Task Force shall intensify consultations with the governors and other state agencies to achieve the much-needed collaboration.
On our contacts, we have traced and are monitoring 71% of all of them. By the end of today, that percentage will increase.
Lagos, Abuja disinfection is ongoing because we have more cases in these areas.
The task force, however, warned that circulation of fake news is a threat to government's containment of the pandemic.
So far, the Presidential Task Force has not received any donation directly in terms of cash for this exercise.
We appreciate the effort of the private sector in helping us, and they will be providing us with commodities. But the money that they are currently collecting will not come to government. It's a separate bank account.
It's been trending on the social media that the equipment and aid that we receive from China, from Jack Ma, they've all been infected with the virus. This is not true.
In view of the prevailing global shortages of particular commodities like masks and protective gowns and even of ventilators, we are going to have conversations with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to look for indigenous producers, indigenous manufacturers.
We just started the program of this cash transfer. No section of this country is going to be marginalized.
In compliance with international treaty and law, we cannot deny our citizens entry to our nation.
Nigerians in affected lockdown states were advised not to abuse the 4-hour period to purchase food supplies.
We don't expect people to travel long distances in order to obtain food. We expect that there will be markets that will sell food or shops that will sell food, groceries, etc. close to them.
The task force assured health workers and other frontline responders in the fight against COVID-19 of adequate protection, while appealing to Nigerians that the restrictions are not punitive, but to safeguard the health and wealth of the nation. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Now, let's just get you some reactions on emerging cases of COVID-19, taking you to Uyo this time, because following a news report of 5 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the state by the NCDC, Commissioner for Health in the state, Dr. Dominic Ukpong, says all 5 cases have been contacted and have shown no sign of symptoms of the virus. Health professionals in the state, though, are calling for a confirmation or reconfirmation test as they observe a breach in the testing and reporting procedure by the NCDC. Susan Asuko reports.
The Commissioner for Health, Dr. Dominic Ukpong, he says while the state government only heard of the reported 5 cases on the news, there was a breach in the test and reporting procedure. Ukpong also maintained that owing to the irregularities observed in the testing and reporting procedure, healthcare professionals in Akwa Ibom State have called for an immediate reconfirmation test on the 5 reported cases.
We all are aware of the various types of symptoms. I have personally contacted all of them, and none of them is showing any symptom now.
While the 5 reported confirmed cases have been isolated, health professionals in Akwa Ibom State have appealed to the National Center for Disease Control, NCDC, to ensure that all future tests are conducted following due process in order to maintain continued confidence in the process. However, residents have been enjoined to remain calm as the Enforcement Committee and Restriction of Movement Regulations 2020 have been mandated to see to the full operation of the provisions of the regulations. In Uyo, Susan Asukwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, Dr. Chikwe Ihekwezu, while reacting to claims by Akwa Ibom State, maintains that tests conducted and released by the center are accurate and were seriously scrutinized.
I just read the press release of my brother, the Honorable Commissioner for Health in Akwa Ibom State. I think it's a little bit unfortunate. There was some delay in reporting the results to him because the team that leads the lab where these tests were done were actually on their way to Abuja to carry out an important national assignment. These tests, and I'll say it publicly, were done in the Irua Specialist Teaching Hospital. This is our oldest and most experienced lab in carrying out PCR diagnosis. So there's really no reason to dispute the validity of these results. We must focus on the challenge at our hands. Every new case in a new state always leads to a little bit of anxiety, and people need time to accept that these results are what they are. but they are what they are. I have no reason to doubt the results coming out of any of our labs, and especially the Rural Specialist Teaching Hospital. Yes, they'll be tested at a specific time. You know, after every positive case, we would retest anyway after 3-4 days, because the only way you can know whether people are recovering or not is by retesting them. So that will be done.
DG NCDC Chikwe Ihekwazu there. Let's get to some of the other stories from around the world. As coronavirus cases nears 1 million worldwide, there are growing concerns in several countries about shortages of protection equipment for medical workers. Here is Joyce Umetu with developments on COVID-19 around the world.
In the next few days, the world will see confirmed COVID-19 cases reach 1 million and death tally may climb to 50,000. The chief of World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, noted this on Wednesday. The WHO situation dashboard indicated that the pandemic has killed nearly 50,000 people globally, as over 900,000 infections have been reported across 203 countries. And nearly 200,000 are said to have recovered. Africa now has a total of 49 countries affected, reporting over 6,000 cases, over 200 deaths and nearly 500 recoveries. Let's look at the US, where there have been 884 deaths in the past 24 hours. It takes the total deaths there to more than 5,000. President Trump has admitted that the government's strategic reserves of protective equipment and medical supplies to combat the coronavirus are nearly exhausted. Similarly, the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson says coronavirus testing needs to be increased massively. This is how he said the UK would defeat the virus. And a glimmer of hope, as there could be promising signs coming out of Italy, the worst affected country in terms of deaths, where fatalities have now dropped to their lowest daily figure in nearly a week. The country will now be the first to receive financial help from the European Union, while Spain's death toll has risen by 950 in a single day. It brings the total there to over 10,000, the second highest in the world, behind Italy. In Russia, the number of cases has risen by almost 800 over the past 24 hours, and that's the biggest daily jump there. And these are some latest developments on COVID-19. We'll bring you more updates as they unfold. I am Joyce Umetu.
Thanks, Joyce. Just to update you on the global cases now, it stands at over 1 million at the moment. Meanwhile, heads of security agencies in the FCT have expressed concern over the attitude of residents in the suburbs to the lockdown directive to curtail the spread of the COVID-19. This was after their monitoring of the lockdown at Nyanya, Duse and Zuba amongst entry points to the nation's capital. Eliasu Onotu Yakubu has details.
Residents at the suburbs employ decoys against the enforcement team. The enforcement teams are now facing is the new culture amongst residents who choose to take advantage of essential workers coming along this way to fill up vehicles and then probably have 1 or 2 essential workers with ID cards in front of the vehicles to deceive the enforcement team. And that is a challenge, but the enforcement teams have taken a stand to say nobody without ID card to identify themselves for what essential service they offer will cross this gridlock.
You should weigh the consequences of what you are doing.
That was at the Nyanya access. The story in Zuba is even worse. Most surprising is this motor park opened with commercial vehicles lined up and waiting to convey travelers. The task force says it will intensify enlightenment alongside the enforcement until the target is achieved. Iliasu Onotu Yakubu, NTA News.
Abuja's major exit roads continue to experience very low traffic as the lockdown of the federal capital city continues to enjoy high compliance. As much as the roads, the busy townships along the expressway Also in the lockdown, Hamis Urogo has a situation report from the Abuja-Zuba Express Road.
It is day 3 of the lockdown in Abuja, and I am deliberately here because there is an interesting story to be told. The story is simple. On a day normal, I cannot stand here, or I may not have the courage to stand here and do a piece to camera. You know why? The volume of traffic is so thick and fast. Anything to stand here and do any joke, maybe a mission is suicide. But today, I can stand here 10 minutes and no vehicle is passing through. This highway is one of the busiest, that's what I'm saying. And it leads to most parts of Nigeria, barring some states in the northeast and in the north central. But lo and behold, this busy road on a working day is looking threadbare. I have never seen a highway with a 10-lane, pothole free, looking so threadbare like this one is looking here in Abuja. That is part of it. In effect, it is showing the success of the lockdown, that people are obeying, and that high volume of traffic has reduced in obedience to the directive that the people should stay at home. The other interesting thing I want to tell you is that I'm in Kubwa area. Kubwa is one of the most highly densely populated part of the federal capital city. Well, it is in Buhari, all right, but then Buhari is in the FCT. What is happening is, this area has high density of low-income group, people who live by the day, but the people of Kubwa are living in their homes. The place looks sleepy. Movement is slow. Everybody seems to be obeying the law to stay at home. Yes, there are pockets of businesses. There are pockets of people that are coming out to find livelihood. And of course, there are also pockets of people that are coming to stroll. But many of them complain of boredom, that there is nothing more at home to excite them.
I need to be out because, there is no way you will totally lock yourself down. Because we are talking about how to live. Even if you are inside, what do you eat?
Necessary things that are needed, such as lights, is not there. Like as you can see me now, I come to Fisher here to buy petrol.
There are some feedbacks from the Kubwa story. Many people still insist on a window to find livelihood. Some women groups say their crops is wasting on the farmlands and they want to harvest them. Many people do not know of the window to go out and make necessary purchases every other day from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Within all this, however, there is peace everywhere. In Abuja, Mohammed Hamis Rogo, NTA News.
Thank you, Rogo. Well, do stay with us here on NTA Network News. We take some messages and back shortly.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
Oya, take, Madam Ibo.
So, you now won't pick my call.
Then bomb me where? Mommy of life. Toilet, mommy.
Where my car?
Mommy, now smart things remain.
If my car not ready before Kukuroko tomorrow, me and you go put leg inside one trouser. One lie.
That's my phone. Yes, ma. Yes, ma. Yes, ma.
Look at this phone.
All right, yes, ma. Hey, Magel.
Kini.
Mommy, no be you. Don't waste your credit. When I finish, I go call.
You call me. Me when my middle name na credit. Where Glow they give me boku.
Glow and Mebo get 5 times your recharge to call all networks. Recharge with *555* PIN hash.
Just talk people. I beg, give me my phone, make I go, Joe.
Talon so talk yen.
Katsina State Governor Right Honorable Aminu Masari has approved the appointment of COVID-19 fundraising committee to
to strengthen the containment measures already taken by the state government. The 11-man committee is chaired by the Deputy Governor, His Excellency Maniu Yakubu. The panel will identify and seek financial assistance from appropriate members of the public. They are mandated to handle procurement of needed equipment and medicament in liaison with the task force on COVID-19 and recommend any other palliatives. The committee has started receiving donations from philanthropists and financial institutions in the state. His Excellency Governor Aminu Masari has also appealed to all and sundry, especially wealthy individuals and private organizations, to donate generously to the committee to enable the state contain the COVID-19 pandemic. Payment should be made to Katsina State COVID Support, account number 1022751974, UBA. Announcer, Secretary to the Government of Katsina State, Mustafa Muhammad Inwa.
What we are really cultivating here is a better future for all Nigerian women, and it's not always easy. Panadol Extra relieves headache, backache, joint pain, toothache, and menstrual pain. The pain is worth it.
The coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, has been declared by the World Health Organization as a global pandemic. While clinical trials are ongoing for a vaccine and a possible cure, there is no known treatment for the coronavirus. Nigeria has recorded some of these cases, and people are advised to take these preventive measures to keep themselves safe and contain the further spread of the virus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water, or use hand sanitizers all the time. Maintain social distancing. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Practice respiratory hygiene. If you have fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early. Do not panic. Stop the spread of unconfirmed news. Follow the official government news outlets and report all cases immediately. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
International Hotel, pleasurable evolution you can't resist. A concept delivered. Cheetah International Hotel brings you face to face with an unimaginable experience you can't erase. You'll like to come again and again. One thing you will hate is to be told the story. Another thing you will love is to be part of the story. You are looking for where your gain equals the cost. Break even with Cheetah International Hotel with our world-class event center that is set to blow your mind away. A world-class arena equipped with top-notch facilities, syndicate bedrooms, hall 1, 2, and 3, underground basement hall, gallery, and many more. Located on plot 224, Solomon Law Way, Utako District, Abuja. For more information on your highly distinguished hotel services, call 081-007-1882 or 081-007-1883. Cheetah International Hotel, a place where your history and future is made.
The main way coronavirus spread is when infected people sneeze and cough. Small droplets of fluid expelled by cough or sneezes are laced with viruses looking for new respiratory tracts to infect. When a sick person sneezes around someone who is healthy, the virus can land in the nose, mouth, or even the eyes, causing an infection. Symptoms can include fever, cough, shortness of breath. Symptoms may appear within 2 to 14 days. Seek medical advice if you develop symptoms and have been in close contact with a person known to have COVID-19, or if you live or have recently been in an area with ongoing spread of COVID-19. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
You're still watching NTA Network News with me, Joseph Johnson, in Abuja. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, has clarified that courts are expected to attend to the matters that are urgent, essential or time-bound, even during the lockdown. In a statement issued by Dr. Umar Gwandu, Special Assistant on Media and Public Relations Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Malami, said speedy dispensation of justice is a cardinal principle of justice sector reform of the present administration. Hence, urged that time-bound cases are treated with dispatch and accorded the required attention. Nigerian security agencies have been enforcing compliance with restrictions imposed by governments at all levels to curb the spread of COVID-19 in the country. Minister of Police Affairs Muhammad Maigari Dingyadi went round Abuja to monitor and assess the process being led by Nigerian Police Force. Francis Form reports.
It is day 3 of the total lockdown in Abuja, the nation's capital, and all security agencies are jointly working to enforce compliance. Just as this unit at the Nikon Junction is discharging its responsibility, an unexpected visitor arrived. Their colleagues in Maitama and AY roundabout also received the minister. The minister's monitoring also took him to the FCT command, where he advised officers and men of the police to conduct themselves in a professional way.
So we are very happy with what we have seen. We'll just continue to call on Nigerians to ensure that everybody continues to comply and to, most importantly, ensure that the policemen on the streets are doing the right things that they should be doing.
Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has cautioned officers and men of the Nigeria Police Force deployed for the enforcement of lockdown and social restriction order to ensure that the rights of Nigerians are not infringed upon under any pretext. A statement by Force Public Relations Officer Frank Mba says persons on essential duties duly exempted from the restriction order must be accorded due courtesies and unfettered access to and from their places of duty. The statement further states that the IGP directs Zonal Assistant Inspectors General of Police across the country and Commissioners of Police to immediately commence supervision to ensure compliance with the standard operating procedure guiding special tasks. The AIGs and CPs are also to ensure robust anti-crime patrols and surveillance across vulnerable targets. The IGP expresses profound gratitude to Nigerians for their resilience and compliance with social restriction order and cooperation with the police at all times. In Abuja, Francis Form, NTA News.
And the Defense Headquarters enjoined Nigerians to disregard a misleading video clips circulated by fake news propagators. A statement by the Coordinator Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enenche, indicates that the trending video clips are past incidents of 2012 and 2013, stressing that they are not related to the present military engagement towards the COVID-19 lockdown. General Enenche notes that the circulated clips are an attempt by mischievous elements and propagators of fake news to tarnish the professional integrity of the armed forces. To some cheering news now, as more Nigerians support the federal government in its fight against COVID-19. This time, it is the donation of oxygen ventilator and other personal protective equipment to the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital. Gwagwalada Doindia reports.
Oxygen concentrates as well as personal protective equipment such as the face masks are just some of the equipment needed in the treatment of COVID-19. And interestingly, a group of well-meaning Nigerians came together to join the fight against COVID-19 in Nigeria.
So when we heard about this COVID-19 issue, we see how people are actually suffering. We come together, we felt in what way can we actually contribute our own little contribution.
It's been a very big fight, a very challenging one, but with the help of organizations, our ministry, and individuals, and most importantly, with the help of the hand of God, I think we've been able to do our best.
Well, the treatment of patients already tested positive for COVID-19 is ongoing, and experts already assured that where this management is sustained, that there is hope that most of them who have been tested positive and are receiving treatment will definitely come out negative. Doing NTA News.
It's day 3 of the lockdown in the FCT, an unusual day, not a holiday yet, a feeling that cannot be fully described. Amina Baba Suleiman attempts to capture it through the eyes of one who should lawfully be at work.
The millions who flood the FCT streets daily are indoors. Even animals are nowhere to be found. Quite unusual. Even with the information shared for days now, the reality of the lockdown is still something of a shock to the eyes. Perhaps it is because nothing like this has happened in recent history. Life must go on even behind closed doors. Some, however, expect a few visitors because coronavirus is apparently not the only health threat in town. Hilda is up and about to meet this need.
We have prescriptions coming in, the flow is not so much, but we have prescriptions coming in from hospital, National Hospital and the rest.
In another area, however, it seems the people will rather stay home than venture out for drugs and meet something deadlier on the road.
Everything went down. We can say like about 90% of our customers, we don't have them now because of the lockdown. So basically the lockdown is affecting the level of sales that we have now.
It is indeed an unusual day, and it is likely to be like this for the next fortnight. The main desire is, however, to see a drug to destroy the coronavirus quickly on the shelf. People are still hoping in to get their drugs. As the saying goes, health is wealth. In Abuja, Amina Baba Suleiman, NTA News.
As part of measures put in place by the federal government to manage and minimize spread of the coronavirus in Borno State, the Northeast Development Commission (NEDC) has embarked on awareness campaigns to IDPs as well as distribution of hygiene kits to displaced households in IDP camps across Maiduguri, the state capital. Jadua John Jassini reports.
Although no case has been recorded in Borno State, the Northeast Development Commission (NEDC) has marched towards with action by providing 100 cartons of soaps and hand sanitizers to camps hosting IDPs in Maiduguri. Some of the beneficiaries expressed appreciation to NEDC for the timely gesture, assuring to put them into proper use. At the Bakassi IDPs camp, the NEDC says this is imperative considering the number of people, which amount to 7,320 households, hosting 5 local governments of Marte, Mongono, Guzamala, Ngala and Goza.
In our own case, we are somehow regionalized, North Development Commission. So we have the mandate to see that any activities that have been done parallelly is also being reflected in the zone here.
SEMA Chairman Yabawa Kolo and Information Commissioner Babukra Abajato assured to sustain the gesture as well as ensure that people are well enlightened on the coronavirus pandemic. Similar gesture was carried out at Muna IDPs camp housing 50,000 households as well as Stadium camp housing 14,322 households in Maiduguri. Jadwa John Jesni, NTA News.
The announcement by the PPPRA of the new petrol pump price of 123 naira 50 kobo per litre for the month of April is expected to have taken effect from April 1st, 2020. The question many Nigerians are asking is, when will the 23.50 kobo be reflected in petrol pumps across the country? Leader Samson visited some petrol stations to assess the situation.
These are, of course, trying times for the oil and gas industry globally, more so for the African oil and gas market. To cushion the effect of pump price of petrol for Nigerian citizens, the petrol pump price has been reviewed twice already. The latest review reduced the price to 23 naira 50 kobo with effect from April 1st, 2020. Most petrol stations visited in the metropolis are, however, yet to effect the new pump price, and motorists are not happy about that.
It took them a long time to even change from 145 to 125. All the same story. But assuming it is increased now, they will not wait for any adjustment to finish the wholesale.
If they increase this thing, even their old stock, they will also jack it up immediately and comply.
Meanwhile, contrary to some newspaper publications, that the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, is threatening to embark on strike. The president of the association, Chinedu Okoronko, says there is no such plan whatsoever.
IPMAN cannot go on strike now, essentially with this pandemic that is ravaging the whole world. We have been given an assurance from the PPPRA that we have a little window where you have the upper and the lower bands.
As the lockdown continues, motorists say they are optimistic that the NNPC will continue to make petroleum products available. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
The Center for Crisis Communication, CCC, has commended President Muhammadu Buhari's bold moves in locking down key states, describing it as a clarion call to all states across Nigeria to collectively unite against COVID-19. The center, in a statement by the Executive Secretary, Air Commodore Yusuf Anas, also suggests an accelerated tracking of the connected people with the virus and enlightenment of their citizens. The CCC notes the huge spontaneous donations in cash and essential medical supplies by several captains of industry and philanthropists across Nigeria in the efforts to checkmating the spread of the disease. The center appeals to Nigerians to adhere to the government's directives by staying home. Now let's join Hingunu in Lagos for some reports. Hingunu.
Joseph, let's look at how Lagosians are taking the lockdown order. Most residents of Lagos State, the commercial hub of the nation, are complying with the 14-day lockdown directive aimed at containing the spread of coronavirus. Jennifer Igwe reports that a few Lagosians are, however, disregarding the stay-home order to engage in various activities.
Business areas in Lagos State are still devoid of their usual chaotic din, as most Lagosians heed the presidential stay-home directive to check the deadly coronavirus pandemic. In some residential areas, however, people gather in small groups to discuss challenges that hinder compliance to the all-important directive.
No lights. NEPA have taken lights. You don't even see light for this street. You understand me? When they push more things for our camera, then they stay at home. We agree to stay at home, no problem.
And I think we are out now. We sell, we do everything. We'll be able to provide money to buy food.
More presence of the Lagos Neighborhood Safety Corps is helping to disperse youth who have turned the empty Lagos roads to football fields.
But we're pleading with them. In as much as you want to play football and all of that, what are the dangers in it? So we had to lecture them on it, and they complied with us.
A few petty traders who live off what they make daily have chosen to be outdoor, a situation that mirrors the hand-to-mouth lifestyles of the urban poor. In Lagos, Jennifer Igwe, NTA News.
Now, European Union has airlifted the first batch of French and German nationals numbering more than 630 from the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. Abolade Salami reports that the travelers passed through several screenings to confirm their health status before boarding.
International wing of Murtala Mohammed Airport recorded a bit of activities owing to the exit of EU national from Germany and France.
Would all passengers traveling on flight FR3421 please have your boarding passes?
The profiling of travelers started with the verification of documents and screening of luggages to ascertain the authenticity of their papers under the supervision of German police and officials from the embassy. Meanwhile, travelers on board Air France were subjected to the same processes of verification. However, information provided on the manifest reveals that Air France has 390 passengers on board, while Lufthansa Airline was carrying more than 230 passengers. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
We now take a break. Network News continues shortly.
What we are really cultivating here is a better future for all Nigerian women, and it's not always easy. Panadol Extra relieves headache, backache, joint pain, toothache, and menstrual pain. The pain is worth it.
Nigerians, coronavirus is dangerous. It can kill. When you see this sign, high fever, cough, shortness of breath, drowsiness, pneumonia, don't panic, don't hide, don't embark in self-medication. Promptly visit the nearest medical facility. Report all cases to the nearest hospital. Prevention is key. Avoid contact with infected persons. Avoid crowded areas as much as possible. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Your life is precious. Stay alive. Live long, live right. This message is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and the Nigerian Film Corporation. Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possibility.
How hot is she?
Maybe a 7. How hot is he?
8.5.
Whoa, how hot is she? Very hot. Pick me. Just pick me, baby. Come pick me, girl. Man, I'm all ready for you.
So tasty.
He's so lucky.
Stop being jealous, man.
Mini-Me, taste the fun.
The coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, is spreading at an alarming rate all over the globe, including Nigeria. With the number of infected persons in Nigeria increasing daily, prevention is better than cure. Coronavirus has no cure. The virus spreads from one person, who affects 2 persons, and by the time the affected person is isolated, the 2 persons have affected 4, and it keeps spreading. You must take preventive measures to save yourself and that of the people around you. Always wash your hands with soap and water. Put distance between yourself and others. Whenever you cough or sneeze, cover your mouth. Clean and disinfect surfaces. Stay at home if you're sick and contact the proper authorities. Together, we can cut down the spread of the coronavirus. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest TV network.
This is NTA Network News and we are back in Abuja, but not for long though, as we will be joining Port Harcourt Network Center where Jenny Bassi is standing by. Jenny, it's good to see you. Hope you're staying safe.
Well, Joseph, thank you and welcome. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has inspected the 250-bed isolation center under construction in the state. The governor has also lifted partial curfew imposed on some parts of the state, urging residents to stay safe. Ogedi Nyekwere reports.
The construction of the additional isolation center in the state is another proactive containment measure against the spread of COVID-19.
Already we have the isolation center, the treatment center, which is being located at Elena, and this is an additional one in case of anything.
Governor Wike said the new isolation center will have male and female compartments as well as an administrative block for health professionals. Governor Wike lifted the partial curfew in parts of the state but directed that markets should still remain closed. In Port Harcourt, Ogedi Nyekwere, NTA News.
Regular intake of water and adequate sleep, experts say, can boost the immune system against coronavirus. Ijoma Gweke sought their views on preventive measures and care for persons in isolation centers.
Coronavirus affects the respiratory system. Although symptoms does not manifest immediately, frequent coughing and sneezing have been identified as signs of coronavirus. As the spread of the virus heightens in the country, emphasis is now placed on social distancing to reduce the burden.
Avoid crowds. There are people who sneeze into their hands. Go and shake them. You carry the virus along with you.
Given that isolation is one of the guidelines recommended by medical experts to curtail the spread of the virus, experts have advised people to disregard the belief that isolation due to COVID-19 is a death sentence, rather a place to monitor and care for infected persons.
It should be treated with dignity. The immune system
the immune surveillance science. They should learn to hydrate ourselves, taking enough water, not just water, hot water.
People are advised to avoid self-medication, obey and use the stay-at-home order by government to sleep well and eat healthy. In Port Harcourt, Ijomu Gweke, NTA News.
And that's all from here, Joseph.
Jenny Bassey from our Port Harcourt Network Centre there. Nigerians are advised to abide by instructions in the containment of COVID-19, especially the presidential directives for lockdown in Abuja, Lagos and Ogun states. This is the standpoint of guests on NTA's current affairs program, Moment for Thought. They stressed that there are already palliatives to cushion the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the populace.
Attention given to those who tested positive.
Yes.
And the fact that about 6-7 of them have even been discharged and in good health now shows that Nigeria is doing something.
Yes.
Nigeria is doing something which a lot of countries have even applauded.
This is a feat that they couldn't believe any African country could do. We have built the local capacity, that we can use to identify not just the coronavirus, but even any other disease that might appear to surprise us.
Moment for Thought airs at midnight every Thursday on the network service of the NTA. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of medical directors for Neuropsychiatric Hospital Calabar Cross River State and Federal Medical Center Jalingo Taraba State. They are Dr. Basi Eyoedet and Dr. Aisha Shehu Adamu. In a statement, the special advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, says Dr. Edet, a fellow of the National Postgraduate Medical College in Psychiatry and also fellow of the National Institute of Management Consultants, while Dr. Aisha Shehu Adamu is a consultant physician. Both appointments are for the term of 4 years and takes effect from March 25, 2020. President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated Awujale of Ijebu Kingdom, Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetono, on his 60th anniversary on the throne, which makes him one of the oldest reigning monarchs in the country, following his formal coronation on April 2, 1960. A statement by the special advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, stated that President Buhari joins indigenes of Ijebu land, government and people of Ogun State in celebrating the milestone, while commending the octogenarian for upholding the legendary history and tradition of his forefathers, especially the highly organized political, economic and social structures that preceded many civilizations in Africa. The Armed Forces of Nigeria, through the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole, has ramped up attacks against terrorist locations in Borno State. In a statement by Acting Director of Defense Media Operations, Brigadier General Bernard Onyoko, the latest of these attacks was executed at the Parisu, a Boko Haram terrorist hideout within the Sambisa forest on 31 March 2020, after a series of intelligence missions revealed a resurgence of activities within the settlement. Fighter jets dispatched by the Air Task Force to attack the hideout took turns in engaging the location, resulting in the destruction of some of the structures as well as the killing of several terrorists. Other fighters who attempted to reposition themselves in order to engage the attack aircraft were taken out in follow-on strikes at their hiding places under shrubbery. The Armed Forces of Nigeria says it will sustain the tempo to restore peace in the nation. Let's just quickly take another break now. Stay with us.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, cuffing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
Katsina State Governor Right Honorable Aminu Masari has approved the appointment of COVID-19 fundraising committee to strengthen the containment measures already taken by the state government. The 11-man committee is chaired by the Deputy Governor, His Excellency Maniu Yakubu. The panel will identify and seek financial assistance from appropriate members of the public. They are mandated to handle procurement of needed equipment and medicament in liaison with the task force on COVID-19 and recommend any other palliatives. The committee has started receiving donations from philanthropists and financial institutions in the state. His Excellency Governor Aminu Masari has also appealed to all and sundry, especially wealthy individuals and private organizations, to donate generously to the committee to enable the state contain the COVID-19 pandemic. Payment should be made to Katsina State COVID Support, account number 1022751974, UBA. Announcer, Secretary to the Government of Katsina State, Mustafa Muhammad Inwa.
Let's bring sports now. Global sports calendar continues to readjust amid coronavirus pandemic. Kene Emma Abudike tells us more on sports update.
Following the shift in 2021 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers from March till October due to the outbreak of coronavirus, the Confederation of African Football (CAF) has decided to hold discussions with FIFA over a possible change to the 2022 World Cup qualifiers. The 2022 World Cup qualifiers are slated to begin later in the year, with teams already in the groups and the group winners moving straight into the final round of the qualifiers. Meanwhile, CAF President Ahmad further confirms that the Championship of African Nations CHAN 2020, which has been suspended indefinitely, will not take place during mid-year due to Cameroon's weather conditions. Still on football, all Champions League and Europa League matches have been suspended until further notice by UEFA because of the global coronavirus pandemic. All national team games in June have also been postponed, including playoff matches for Euro 2020 and qualified matches for the Women's Euro 2021. However, a mini tournament to decide the Champions League and Europa League is expected to be one option put forward to ease fixture congestion caused by the coronavirus crisis.
President Muhammadu Buhari condoles with government and people of Kaduna State over the passing of Emir of Jer, Dr. Saad Usman. In a statement by Special Advisor to the President, Femi Adesina, President Buhari commiserates with family members, friends and associates of the traditional ruler who served the country extensively as a public servant, including working as Secretary to the government of Kaduna State. He prays that the Almighty God will receive the soul of the departed and comfort the family he left behind. That's NTA Network News for tonight. Thank you very much indeed for being a part of it. I'm Joseph Johnson. Good night.